Good afternoon. We are very excited this afternoon. We have a very successful woman, Susan Carver, who has been with Nikin for a number of years. She played Division I volleyball, a former All-American, and she loves working with athletes and helping them reach peak performance with the Nikin products. So Susan, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you share what you found success with.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on the call, and I have some things that are out of camera view that I'm going to be bringing into camera view. So I'm going to share some of those things with you today. So again, thank you so much for having me. The purpose of this call, let me kind of put a frame around what we're doing so you know why or why not you may want to hear this information. I've been an athlete since I was 9 or 10 years old and figured out I could run faster in 4th grade than boys, and so then I'd enter all their competitions and then win. So I've been addicted to sports and staying active my whole life, and I was fortunate enough to play Division I volleyball, paid for my college education, which my father was ecstatic about, that he didn't have to go into his retirement for that. So one of the things I know more than anything is I love being around athletes. I love being around sports. I like that environment, the friendship, the competitiveness, the excellence. And so today's talk is going to be a subject around 2 things that every athlete, trainer, and specifically coach, because that's their reputation on the line. Coaches are the ones that get fired, not trainers. So a team can go 0-15 and they still have the same trainer and the same physical therapist and the same athletes, but the coach is gone. So what we're talking about in sports is all of the things that are moving parts. It all comes down to results. And the results are the only thing that count. And that's how it's measured. That's why you're measured as a good coach or a not good coach. They don't have a measuring stick for your character. It'd be nice. But the point is that are you winning games? And the higher you go up in sports, not junior high or something or high school, but the higher you go up in sports, the more the pressure is to get better and better results. So the purpose of this call is a dual thing. And that dual part is we're going to talk about some technologies that do 2 things that just are music to coaches' ears and people in athletics. And that is how to enhance performance and cut recovery time. Those are the only things really that are a big factor in sports. Enhancing performance without drugs, without anything illegal, getting that extra advantage over your opponent. So we're going to be talking about some of the new things that you can utilize in that area. And then the other time is not if an injury happens, but when it happens, you can actually start to cut some of that recovery time. If you're moving toward a championship game or an elimination game, and one of your star people has a level 2 sprain ankle, well, that's a big problem for the entire team. It risks the full potential success of the entire team. So if it's possible to get that athlete back 90%, in a shorter amount of time and cutting the normal recovery time of a level 2 sprain, then nobody would be opposed to that. The athlete would buy into that, the trainer looks good, and also then the coach is happy to have that star player out competing in that very important critical game. So this talk is a very important one, and if you'll just indulge me over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you some things that'll be very, very practical achieving those goals. Again, enhancing performance, but really we're going to spend a lot of time on cutting recovery time because there are so many different types of soft tissue injuries in sports, okay? So again, thank you in advance for your time, and I hope this will be productive for you because it's been interesting for me for 22 years, and I have a little bit of ADD, so hard to keep me interested in anything for 22 minutes. So for me to be interested in this over a 22-year period is because of the fact that I'm just in awe of what these natural technologies can do to enhance performance and actually cut recovery time. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. So that's kind of the framework around what we're doing. And now we're going to be talking about 3 subcategories under that: enhanced performance and cut recovery time. And one of them is magnetic therapy. The second one is infrared technology. And the third one is a different type of water. And then again, all of these are feeding into that heading of enhancing performance naturally and cutting recovery time. So let's start with magnetics. Magnetics is an interesting modality that is very really not understood, in my opinion, in 20 some years. When you say magnet, a lot of people think of something like this. But it starts from something like this that may be $3 at a gift shop, and it goes all the way up to close to $1.5 million to $2 million. And that's quite a spread, from a little something gadget like this all the way up to something that's well over $1 million, which I guess some of you have already guessed is an MRI machine in a hospital. There wouldn't be a hospital in America that wouldn't have an MRI that wants to be taken seriously, because magnetic resonance imaging is a very, very, very important part of diagnostic, okay? So magnets have a span that is unbelievable, again, from a couple of dollars up into multi-millions. So, but let's go back and actually look at magnetics a little bit. And as I talk about this, I really want you to keep an open mind, even though I don't know anything, or if it was any good and I'd know about it, because magnetics is a big part of the human body. Just like blood and water and cells, but it's not talked about a lot, okay? So first of all, let's talk about magnetics. The Earth is a giant magnet. You've got a North Pole and a South Pole. Every cell in your body has a positive and a negative charge. So there's a direct connection there, okay? So magnetics is kind of interesting because it has a positive and a negative. And so a positive and a negative are very attract to each other. You put 2 positives together or 2 negatives together and they repel. We've all played with magnets as a child, okay? But so you have the North Pole and the South Pole and the positive and the negative, and you have that connection right there. But what's kind of cool is magnetics, actually, one of the things I want to start with is actually showing you how it penetrates through human tissue. And I can take it even further than that. This is a magnetic sensor. So just so you know, I'm not manipulating it. I'm going to put it down right there in front of me so you can, there you go, so you can see the light. And I'm going to go ahead and just take these, turn it on, okay? And motion or sound does not set that red light off. But I can go ahead and spin these magnets about 6 inches, 8 inches, 12 inches apart, and that magnetic field is going all the way through. The other thing that's quite dramatic is this is pure granite. So it's going through this stone right here, which is about 1.5 inches to 2 inches thick. So if it'll go through that, if it'll go through, yeah, then it's actually a modality that is very similar to using ultrasound, but better than ultrasound. So if you're a trainer, a physical therapist, or occupational therapist, and you're listening to this, ultrasound, 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 ultrasound. I haven't been in college since 1985, and they're still using ultrasound. You wouldn't use a phone technology that was old, that was that old. Car technology has dramatically changed. Computer technology is, what we're still using in the training rooms, ultrasound. Why? Because they can't think of anything else that penetrates into human tissue that's going to help cut the recovery time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's something right here that can do worlds better. So let me give you the skinny on what this is. First of all, this penetrates and goes through, you can see right here, this goes through 14 inches of muscle, bone, and tissue. An ultrasound machine, ask any physical therapist, yeah, it only goes down about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Well, what if the injuries or the athlete's bigger? Then what are you really doing? A bunch of nothing. So I had ultrasound done on my knee when I was in college in 1985, okay? And if they do ultrasound too long, that's why they put that little timer. If you do it for 1 hour or 2 hours, you got a chance of actually killing the nerve because it's electricity. and it has to be plugged into electricity. This is something that can go on the bus, on the plane. It goes 14 inches through the muscle, and the more you use it, the better it helps. Okay, so magnetic therapy, this little device right here, is absolutely amazing for soft tissue. And how does it work? Okay, I know some of you are thinking that right now. Beautiful, glad that you have that. How it works is it actually works with your blood. So let's again go back to the body and look at the blood. Let's pretend that my arm is a tendon, the tendon muscle, or a blood vessel. Okay, so right there, all of us on this call know that all of our blood has iron. And iron and magnets stick together. Iron and magnets stick together. Magnets don't stick to aluminum. You have to have iron in something for a magnet to stick to it. So the new refrigerators that are aluminum, they don't really stick. But the old refrigerators, a lot of us on this call, we used to have magnets on our refrigerators because in that metal was iron. So one of the mechanisms of action that I get asked all the time, well, how does it work? How does it work? Well, it's very simple. You have an iron particle in your blood, right? And iron and magnetics have a communication, right? There's an energy there, right? So when I put this magnet here, I'm not moving my hand. What's happening is the energy from this magnet is moving this, what is a metaphor for an iron particle. And so what happens is when this starts to move, then the blood vessel, this is a physics law, not my law, because I never even went to a physics class. That's how I did so well as an academic All-American, because I knew what classes to take and which classes not to take. Well, physics was one of them. It's over my head. That's not my kind of thing. I have strengths in other areas. But there's a physics law in every single physics book in the world, whether you're living in China or living in South Carolina. And it's the physics law of Dr. Faraday's law, okay? And it says this. It says, if you have a magnetic field that is strong enough, not one of these, ladies and gentlemen, this is about 8 to 9 Gauss. Gauss is the unit of measure of a magnet. But when you have a magnetic field that is strong enough that will cross the blood vessel at various right angles, it will cause the hemoglobin iron to get excited. And when that hemoglobin iron gets excited and starts to move, the blood vessel must expand. It's just like your garden hose outside. Well, as you turn the water up, as the water comes through there, the hose must expand. It is a physics law. So this isn't something that I'm just coming up with. This is a real physics law. So this Japanese company said, what if we actually had a product that worked with the hemoglobin that's already in the blood, and we could dilate the blood vessel? All of us on this call, or have seen people on the call, where our ankles, as a volleyball player, I've had multiple problems here with ankles, and you get that dark color. Well, that dark black color is dead blood that's trapped in there. And you can't get the tendons and the muscles to heal unless you get that out. So by getting this going, by using this on the area in different forms, I'm going to show you in just a minute, we can actually get the body to help the body to heal itself faster using its own mechanisms, but just using a little help from magnetic therapy to actually speed along. Okay, so again, what we're looking, because I'm not going to go over to when I go over each product, what we're looking at is getting that hemoglobin iron, actually having products that match that physics law, which is Dr. Faraday's law, or it's called sometimes the Hall effect. Okay, you can look that up. Again, it's not from me. And this company just built products around that physics law that actually helps the body to take care of itself naturally. That's what I meant, that we're not doing anything that's going to cause any drug violations or anything, but we're just getting that old blood out faster and raising that area of getting the new stuff in so the body can heal. You know, like I said, I haven't been an athlete on a higher level since 1985, 1988. But here's the point. The point is that the faster that all this can take place in a natural form, the better it's going to be. And that's what every single coach, trainer, an athlete wants. They want to get back on the field, healthy, naturally, properly. But if they can trim off a week or 2 weeks by actually helping the body to heal itself, by actually having something that you can do therapy an hour to 2 to 3 hours in the dorm room, or the athlete can take the product home and actually do it there, that really helps to cut into that recovery time, okay? So this is one of the devices here. This is a magnetic device. And then the other way that we use it are these other little things that look like poker chips. And this is a very special magnet. Again, it's kind of hard to see here, but with the camera, and I'll try to get it lined up, but you see that this one here is repelling. It's kind of hanging on the top. It doesn't want to hang out with the one on the bottom. Yes. It's got that little air cushion right in there. Well, these are ones that we use on shoulders and knees. And again, this is a patented product. I would not be on this conference call telling you that refrigerator magnets are going to help cut the recovery time and enhance performance. There's a different, just like this magnet is different from $1.5 million MRI machine. It's just the magnetic energy is being used in a different way. This is to hold up pizza coupons on your refrigerator. This is to cut recovery time and enhance performance. And the other one's to do a diagnostic of your brain so they don't have to open you up and they can see, oh, we need to open you up, or no, we don't. So, but it's all using magnetics, and all of them work. No one doubts that this keeps the pizza coupons on your refrigerator, and no one doubts that the hospital MRI does what it's supposed to do. And just because you don't know about this, you know, I think one of the things, Kimball, that was very important that I heard one time is I had a medical person said, well, I don't know anything about this. If it was any good, I'd know about it. And I said, doctor, can I ask you just a question? And he said, oh, sure. I said, if magnetic fields had absolutely no impact on human cells, then an MRI machine wouldn't work. Had no response to that. And it's like, oh, yeah. So here's a little, you know, saying. A lot of health professionals, personal trainers, and coaches, I get it. Something's new, all right? Rice has been used in training rooms, I'm sure, since the 1940s or 1950s, guys, all right? So everything else is new in your life. Please keep your mind open that there might be some things for athletes that are also something that, well, maybe there's something natural that this kind of makes sense. And the only way to test this is to actually use it. Not like that doctor that I talked to many years ago that just had an opinion based on zero experience, right? So if you'll actually use this down at that ankle point that I was talking to you about, if you'll actually use this on that picture or that bruise or that sore area, you'll actually use it, then go back and say, wow, you know, these normally a level 2 sprain is X amount of time. And we use some interesting new technology using the sun's energy and a unique ankle wrap. And we put that magnet in there. And by God, if we didn't have that athlete back 5 days early. I mean, that's the worst that's going to happen. There's not anything that, oh, well, the athlete, instead of being out 2 weeks, is now 4 weeks because you put magnetic and infrared therapy on them. No. You've got everything to gain and nothing to lose by trying this. I've seen it over and over and over and over again. The most fun, Kimball, is to actually have a big bruise and put this device here and then go ahead and tape it, and then you'll see where it's actually starting to come back to normal color under the magnet, and everywhere else where the magnet wasn't, it's still black and blue. Well, guys, you can't placebo a bruise. So if you'll really put this stuff to the test on real athletes that are in, you know, a level 2, level 3 sprain, a hamstring or something, you know as a professional the typical amount of time that it takes. And you know the untypical amount of time that it takes. And you might be surprised, but you've got to actually try it and not have an opinion on it. So we have devices here for the back, for hamstrings, for larger areas of muscle pull. It's the same technology as these little guys here, but just smaller ones. And what's nice about this is it moves and it's flexible, but you can also sweat on it and just take like literally barely a drop of soap and clean it off and have it to the next athlete. As far as how long these will last, these will be in your training room until your athletes lose them. A magnet typically loses about 1 Gauss per year. So if these are 400 and some Gauss, yeah, basically these will get lost by the athlete, not that they're not going to wear out. So the investment in this stuff is just amazing. And the concept, before we finish the magnetics here, the concept of actually rehabbing on the bus or on the plane on the way back from an event, instead of waiting that 6 hours or that next day to get back in the training room, that is really an exciting thing, that they can actually rehab while they're sleeping instead of waiting to get on your table when you're available. That's pretty exciting. Yeah. So before we leave magnetics, I just wanted to go over the insoles, because we did talk about enhancing performance, and I can't do this over the video, but you can actually stand on the floor, do a kinesiology strength test, put these down, and have the athlete then step on top of them with their shoes on and do another test. And they're usually about 5 to 7 to sometimes 10% stronger. But again, this isn't a trick or anything. This is not, because you could take the athlete out in the park outside of the facility on the grass and do the same test, and they don't need these. So for athletes that are playing tennis, or if they're actually on like an AstroTurf or whatever the new name is for some football and things like that, these are awesome. Basketball, in sports that are not standing right on the grass. Obviously, golfers don't need these because of the fact that they're already standing on the Earth's magnetic field. They're in direct contact. But for a lot of other sports, this is, and again, you can test it with lifting weights and see if they can actually lift more with those in it. So we're going to move away from magnetics. Again, that's the Earth's energy. It's in us. It's in every cell. It's nothing foreign. And it's the most expensive diagnostic piece of equipment in every hospital in America. It just takes time and a willingness to learn about it and to catch up on some studies of what it actually does. This is how the insoles are being used for diabetes. This is a published study on our insoles. And again, diabetes, that's not what the purpose of this call is, but diabetes and using those insoles is actually working to help localize the circulation. So, that's proving, that's double-blind placebo-controlled studies. I think Stanford, Loma Linda, and about 40 some other schools participated in this double-blind study, and it was only 75% successful, which is huge with no contraindications. So again, it's not just taking my word for it. I really encourage you to actually put some of these products to the test on 2 or 3 athletes and let the results do the education. The second technology we're moving toward is infrared. This has to do with the sun. This has to do with light. And this is kind of an interesting one. This caught my attention many years ago. This is a basic ceramic plate. What I mean by ceramic, it means it has alumina, not aluminum, alumina and silica, okay? And it has some other things in it, but I'm just gonna bring this down here to kind of show you something you've probably never seen before in your life. I'm gonna take 2 ice cubes that are about the same size, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and put one of them in my hand. I'm gonna put the larger one in my hand, and I'm gonna put the smaller one, actually I'm gonna put the larger one on the plate and the smaller one in my hand, okay? So what happens here is, you can see this plate actually has alumina and silica. And what this Japanese company is fascinated with is the fact that those 2 elements actually attract non-visible light. There's non-visible light. When you're sleeping in your bedroom at night, there's actually a light in there, and it's called far infrared. We can't see it, we can't taste it, we can't touch it. But every time you turn your TV on, everyone on the call already knows that that's done through infrared. There's an infrared device on the remote. There's an infrared device on the television, and you don't see a red light like at a lecture with a red pointer or laser or anything. But you know something's talking because the channels are turning, the volume's turning, etc. But you can't see it. So infrared is a non-visible light. And you can see something very strange is happening with this ice, is that this ice is actually melting faster than my 98-degree hand. And it's a shame that we're not in the same room together, because if you actually felt the temperature of this plate, it's actually probably dropped down to about 60 degrees. And it is melting the ice faster than a 98-degree hand, okay? And so infrared is a fascinating technology. It's one of my favorite. I like it in some ways more than magnetics, because that is just amazing that a 60-degree plate is melting ice faster than a 98-degree hand. I mean, you want to talk physics and science, that's not possible. Well, it is. It's totally possible, because you see the difference of the two ice cubes. This is the one in my hand, and this is the one that's almost gone and completely liquefied that was on this plate. So again, this company has seized that science and said, what can we do to make a quality of life better? Well, one of the things they came up with are these wraps. And these wraps have the same material as that black plate. It has alumina and silica. Can't spell either one of them. Don't need to. I just know that it works, and it works beautifully, okay? So this particular wrap, we have them for ankles and wrists, but most of the time it's knees and ankles in sports, a few elbows. But we have them for all the major joint areas. And it's just worn normally. I'm sorry, let me put this one on. It's just worn normally like you would any other wrap, but this actually has science in it and support. And the thing that we talked about earlier was the fact that you can actually then take the magnetic. So let's pretend that I was in the gym and I had developed tennis elbow here. And of course, tennis elbow, the discomfort usually happens about here and is very painful. And a lot of people on this call know that it's like this injury that just goes on and on and on and on. I mean, there's been some professional golfers that have been out for months and months and months with this, okay? And why is that? Well, it's not that they don't know about rice. It's because tendons by nature are very flexible. And because they're very flexible, they don't have a lot of circulation in them. And so it's like this slow process to get them to recover. So again, this is a key area where we want to speed it up. Come on, how do we do it? We take this particular product with the little bumps toward the skin, and you slide it down here where the discomfort is. Don't have to be a PT or a sports person there to know. You just put it where it has discomfort, and then you put the other one there, because we want that magnetic field opposing, okay? Because we're going to get faster results. So there you go. So now they can go to class. They shouldn't, but they can still play with it if they really need to, and it's not obstructing anything that they need to do. And what's interesting is if you did a strength test with this on, and without it, the athlete's actually about that 5 to 7 to 10% stronger, which is just hilarious because every athlete wants that, okay? And that goes back to enhancing performance, not only, but mainly we're wanting to cut the recovery time so we can get that golfer or we can get that tennis player back to their normal level of performance. These are washable. I do suggest that you drip dry them because they have elasticity in them and it'll age them very fast. So if you want to have these for like 1 year, 2 years or so, then you want to wash them in cold or warm, and then you want to hang them to dry. Again, this is using infrared. How? Well, these don't have infrared in them. Your body has infrared. We collect infrared from the sun, and we store it in our body. And so when you put this on here, just like this plate knows that the normal state of an ice cube is not solid, it's liquid. It's not solid, it's liquid. So it's trying, that aluminum and silica is trying to return the ice cube back to its normal state, which is liquid. This is trying to return you back to the normal temperature, because for the body to actually heal, it needs to be at the optimal temperature. Not too hot, not too cold. That's one of the beautiful benefits of these infrared wraps. And then when you add that, excuse me, with the magnetics, you've just got, really, Kimball, I talk about it as synergy. 1 and 1 makes 3. Because sometimes 2 people to get together and they both become a better person. So it's 1 and 1 make 3. that synergy type of thing. So this wrap and the magnets work beautifully together. Why? In layman's terms, what does warmth do? It attracts what? Blood. And then once the blood goes ahead and says, okay, I'm here, now we're going to get ahead and get that movement that we talked about, that movement that we want to go ahead and actually cut the recovery time, right? So this is the most synergetic combination in sports rehab. This calls it, and this goes ahead and gets the work done that it needs to get done. And again, they're so easy to use. Flipping back over to the other side, talking about enhancing performance. Oh my gosh. If you go into my bedroom and you open my sock drawer, yes, I have an entire drawer of socks because I love to be athletic and like to do things and don't wear heels or pantyhose or anything like that. But this little guy right here, these socks, these are the only socks in the world that actually make you stronger. And that, again, I can't do this on the video. But you go ahead, put your hands together like you're saying your little prayers, put them out like this, push down right there, and you know where your strength is. Then all you have to do is just put these and lay them anywhere on your body. Why? Because your body is releasing infrared heat. You gathered it from the sun. And these fibers are saying, ooh, we're going to reflect that back into your body. Not this kind of hot, but deep into the layers of skin using light therapy. Just like you don't have to sit 2 inches from your television, excuse me, to use the remote, do you? No, you can be usually about 10 to 12 feet away, right? So all this has to do is be on contact with the skin. Now go ahead and do that same test, pushing down here and pushing down, and so much stronger. So any athlete, when they find out about these socks, they want them, because these socks are the only socks in the world that actually enhance performance, make you 5 to 7 to 10% stronger, and it's a sock. It's just like, really? Oh, I'm going to wear a Nike sock. Why? Why would you? So this particular product not only goes ahead and enhances the performance naturally, right? But it also wicks away moisture. So you can go ahead, and I've had people, I'm not a runner. I only ran because volleyball, you had to be in condition, or basketball or tennis, but I don't enjoy just running to run. Trust me, never done a 5K in my life, all right? But I have customers, and they're just like, can you get me some more of those socks? And I'm like, why? Well, because when I'm done with my run, my feet are dry after a 5K, but the sock is completely wet. Because one of the beautiful bonuses of these socks that it actually wicks away and pulls away the sweat from your feet. So again, we've got prevention going, don't we? With blisters and things like that, but it's just comfort. Really, a lot of people that I share this with, I'm like, especially defensive backs in football that are running backwards. Oh my, crying out loud. Yeah, they're following the fastest guy or girl on the team. So if they're slipping in the third quarter because their feet are all wet and their socks are all wet, that could be 6 points the other way. So what if their feet are dry? Again, prevention of foot issues, smelliness. And again, you had me, that famous line, you had me at hello. You had me at 5%. If I'm an athlete and I can have 5% more strength by putting on a pair of socks, I don't need to know anything that they're good for me or anything else. Make my feet less stinky. You got me. So these are infrared. Again, just to recap, it's this same material, alumina and a silica, that has been woven throughout here to give you a dynamite product. And again, the same way that you look at this, okay, the same way you look at this is they can be used as a prevention device, or they can be used actually in athletic competition. And again, now that I'm much older, I live in Florida and I walk around for 3 or 4 hours, and my feet are, when I get home, take my shoes off, take my socks off, my socks are wet, but my feet are bone dry like I just woke up in the morning. And once you experience that in a humid climate, then you'll have a sock drawer just like mine where it's only these. I don't care if Nike gave me 10 pairs of socks. I swear, as God is my witness, I wouldn't wear them, because once you get used to dry feet in a hot climate, you can't go back, because you have a new normal. And I like my new normal, which is dry feet. So that kind of finishes off the infrared. Now we're going to just finish with water. Again, water. Oh, water's water. Well, not really. Not really at all. There's different types. There's reverse osmosis, which actually takes out all the bad out of the water and all the good at the same time and leaves the water very dead and stripped and acidic. Then there's Fiji water, whatever they want to call it. And then you got the little smart waters. And you know, you go around the grocery store, half of the beverage aisle, 5 shelves up is water. So water is not water. Obviously, there's all different types. And so one of the things I just wanted to share with you here, again, as far as enhancing performance, is I have a couple of our water products. Now I've got a brand new Smart Water here, and I bought a brand new Crystal Gatorade here, okay? And now you're just gonna have to trust me because we're not in the same room, so you don't see where I got this, but I got it from the tap right over here, all right? So I'm just gonna bring this down a little bit so you can see the screen. All right, there you go. Can you all see that? Right, okay. So these are unopened. These are completely sealed and unopened, all right? And I'm gonna take these 3 dessert glasses and I'm going to take a white piece of paper and I'm gonna put this so you can see it a little bit better. So we're just going ahead and move those back a little bit. And Kimball said I had to call these dessert glasses. I couldn't call them shot glasses. So I said, okay, Kimball, I can do that. So what I'm going to do is take this brand new Gatorade, come back here so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm just going to open it up. And this, typically when I'm with someone in person, I'll ask them which glass they want me to put it in. But again, we don't have that luxury. So I'm just going to put about an inch of Gatorade right here in this first one. Then I'm going to take some tap water. I'm going to pour it in one of our sport bottles. Now this sport bottle is not just another bottle. This actually transforms the water, and you'll see that in just a second. And the other thing that's really magnificent about this particular bottle is the company has infused it with a magnet. And again, what do we want to do? We want to lower the tension. We want to get more movement going. So there's a very key reason of why they actually put a magnet there. So this is tap water that I poured in here, okay? And we're just going to run it through this particular Meekin water bottle. And I'm going to put the same amount of water that I did, as far as liquid, excuse me, that I put in the Gatorade. Then I'm going to take this other brand new Smart Water and I'm going to open this one up because it says it's smart. And you know me, I want to be smart. So I'm just going to put this right here and put the same amount of water right there. So one of the things to realize about water is there's all different types of alkalinity. So you have yellow, which is acidity, and then you have more of a neutral, and then you have more of a purplish or pink color is typically the more alkaline. And again, you can do your own research about alkaline versus acidity or whatnot, but we have enough acidity in our own diet. We really don't need to be getting it from water. So I'm going to put this down, but just keep in mind that these are the more acidics. These are your coffees and your sodas are in this realm, highly acidic. And when you consume acid, then the body has to do what? It has to do something called homeostasis. Now that's a big word. That's another one I can't spell, but I do know what it means. And what it means is when we do something stupid, consume too much alcohol, or put 4.0 beverages in our body immediately responds and says, I have to save your life. Because if you injected 3.5 or 3.0 directly into your intestines and you didn't do any type of, the body didn't go into homeostasis and neutralize that acid, you'd actually die. But coffee is down in this range in here, and sodas are down in this range in here. But I don't use soda, Sprite, or 7-Up, or any of those sodas because people already know that sodas aren't healthy. But I like to actually work with the sports drinks, okay? So now I'm going to take some wide range pH tester, and we're actually going to see what is the pH of each of these. So I'm going to start down here and go 1, 2, 3. And you can see that that's pure yellow. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let me get these moving around a little bit so that maybe you can see them a little bit better on the camera. Okay, but you see the difference, ladies and gentlemen? Big difference. So this is high acid, and this is high I acid, but it's very cheap to manufacture reverse osmosis water because, again, it pulls out all the good minerals in the water and all the bad things in the water, and it just strips it, and it's a quick, fast, economical way of doing it. But it's acidic, and you can see that the Gatorade is highly acidic. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this bottle, which is, again, formerly the tap water, but run through this filter. This is one that you change here, right here, about every 2 to 3 months, depending on how much you consume. And the other amazing thing about this water bottle is that, it is a BPA-free bottle. This has the chemical BPA in it, and this has the chemical BPA in it. And BPA is a chemical that's in low-quality plastics. Okay, that's why they can charge such little amounts for these. So I'm going to come over here and see if I can raise the pH of the smart water, basically make it smarter. Oh my goodness, look what I could do. That's awesome. That's neat that I could actually change the pH. But the Gatorade over here, well, that's a different story. It wants to maintain its acidity because it's so highly acidic, it's not going to change. In fact, I would have to take basically about 5 of these to neutralize and get this to change the color. Yeah, but it's all marketing, all advertising. Oh, smart water. Well, I want to be smart, so I got to drink smart water. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the smartest water you can consume because it pulls out the chlorine, it magnetizes the water, it mineralizes the water up at the top here, and you have it anytime you want it. And once you finish drinking this, and if you're still thirsty and you're out somewhere or you're at work, what do? This one, you just go back over to the tap or even go to the ladies' room and go ahead and you have this water. So one last test here is I'm going to show you on this Gatorade how potent it is, right? So we got this one right here. This is our Nikan water. Oh, I'm just going to drink a little bit of that. Ooh, wow. Ooh. I mean, this is some potent stuff, guys. But again, when you pay people millions and millions of dollars, a lot of people say anything, but that's the truth right there of what's going on with the acidity level, okay? So last point on the water of why an athlete would want to drink it is it actually hydrates it on contact. And for time purposes, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I want to be able to wrap this up. But if you'll take 2 spray bottles with these little nozzles right like this, okay? And you'll put this water in one of them, any bottled water, and then put our tap water, but water that's gone through here in the other one, and then go ahead and do that muscle test. So you got the bottled water in this one, and you got the Nikan water in this one. Do that same test, hands like this, push down, and you'll get the baseline of where they are. And then go ahead and spray them 5 or 6 times with this bottled water, right? And then go ahead and do the same test. There's not any change at all in their strength and their performance. But if you spray them the other arm with 5 or 6 times with this, they're dramatically stronger. Now, why is that? Why is that? Is because this magnet and all the things that it goes through in these little containers that, again, you throw these out every 2 to 3 months, and they're very inexpensive. And then you just screw the new one back in. So you save the bottle. Now, let's not even talk about the environment. Forget that. Let's just talk about, what it does performance-wise. And so when you drink this water, because it has a low surface tension, you can actually, when you consume it, the water starts to absorb in the cheek of your mouth and on your tongue. So you don't even have to drink this water for this water to start absorbing and coming into your body. And for athletics, I can tell you right now, dehydration equals what? Weakness. And hydration equals strength. So again, no brainer. What water do I want to drink when I'm competing? I'm losing minerals. I'm losing hydration. Reverse osmosis water doesn't have any minerals, ladies and gentlemen. So you're just putting in some liquid. This is magnesium, potassium, zinc in here, and it's clean, and it's magnetized, so the surface tension of the water has been loosened up like this, and so it absorbs into the cells wherever you put it. So you can actually drink less water and actually be very, very hydrated. So let's just recap. The talk today was about what? It was about natural ways to enhance performance, to have an advantage over your opponent, whether it's on hydration and strength at the end of the match or the competition, whether it is something in your shoes that you're wearing, whether it's socks. Those are all in the category of enhancing your performance, better balance, better strength, that type of thing. And then the second thing that we talked about was ways to cut that recovery time. When it happens on that shoulder, when it happens on the knee, when it happens in the ankle, when it happens in the back. To be able to do that is to cut the recovery time and by natural means. Yes, rice still works, but there's other things, excuse me, that can be used that are so valuable. And if you'll use these, if you'll actually put them on some athletes and sit the back go, wow, that's really amazing. He's running full sprints or she's running full sprints, and that shouldn't be happening until another 5 to 7 days. And then you'll be as convinced of me after 22 years of why I'm still excited about what I do, because it's natural, it's effective, and just like an MRI machine in a hospital, and just like a little pizza magnet here, these work. And they work in a way that's maybe new to you, but it's not new to a lot of people. So thank you very much for listening. Again, this is a little bit of a challenge. Most of the time we do these in person, and they're highly effective for, I always tell people, Kimball, feeling is believing. So when people say, I don't want this to work, and then they go stand out in the front yard and they're strong as a bull, then you bring them in the house or the training room and they're weaker, and then you take them back outside and they stand directly on the Earth's magnetic field, then you bring them back in and they're like, oh, okay. No one can explain to me how a freezing cold plate melts ice. They just don't. So I hope this was helpful today. Please get informed about what these technologies can do. They're dirt cheap expensive. In fact, the water, actually, after 3 or 4 months, this for the rest of your life is less money and will save you hundreds of dollars. So having a higher quality is actually less money, which is a no-brainer. So just get familiar, use these products. Again, it's all about results in your industry, guys. It's all about results. So you'll never know if these can get you the results you want unless you actually put them to the test. So thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful.
Thank you, Susan, so much for being on the call today. I know I learned a lot and have thought about so many ways to teach others to have that peak performance. And as we get older, those of us that are athletic and are working out, we want those things so that we have that peak performance. So thank you so much, and thank you all for joining on the call today.
Thank you.